Please, someone help.
These are human lives! That says wrong! They have families, children! They're our friends and we're watching them!
Not subscribe.
Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by Adakai TCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code Kaizoku for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. See the most up-to-date Eastern and Western deck lists on gumgum.gg, updated daily. Be the first to see deck lists for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, it's the Week 3 PRB02 meta-analysis video where we're going to be taking a look at the sim stats here. The top 10 ranking for Western private games. We're looking at private because that's the closest way we have to estimate what a ranked game is, because ranked is done via a third-party application. In case you guys didn't know, it's separate from the sim, and my numbers tie directly to the sim. But we do know that all ranked games are played via private games, so that's our closest approximation. For the past 2 weeks, we've been looking at meta leaders. So for this week, I thought we'd take a look at some of the lesser played leaders that did get affected by PRB02. Right, stuff like Koby and stuff. I think that would be interesting. We're gonna take a look at their matchup stats and then their win rates and stuff, and then like sample deck lists that people are running with the deck. These are all available on my website, by the way, Kaizoku.com, linked below. Everything is coded and made by myself, so it's a really big labor of love here. I hope you guys can appreciate the amount of effort I put into this. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the top 10 for now before we jump into the leader analysis. So at number 1 is still Bonnie, followed by Green Purple Luffy. Then Red Really at 3rd, Enel at 4th, Green Zoro at 5th, Blue Purple Luffy at 6th, 7th is Purple Katakuri, 8th is Shanks, 9th is Blackbeard, and then 10th is Red Green Smoker. So that's your top 10 for this week. It kind of tracks with what we've been seeing in tournaments, right? We've seen a lot of Bonnies, a lot of Green Purple Luffys, a lot of Rayleighs, a lot of Blue Purple Luffys too, right? The decks that kind of seem to do a little better on Sim than in IRL is Enel. I think Enels do well in tournaments, but you just never make it to like top 8s. And then I don't think we've seen a Purple Katakuri. I could be wrong, but I could check the tournament stats, but I don't want to waste your time with that. You guys can peruse it on your own. That's also an option on my website, by the way. But yeah, let's take a look at some of the non-top 10 leaders that were affected by the PRB02 edition of new cards. So Nami got Marco, right? We want to see some Nami lists. We looked at Sanji before. How about putting Gecko Moria, right? That's a deck that got a new brand spanking new 6 cost. And then Koby, Koala 2. Did Marco get anything? Might as well look at him. And Black Yellow Luffy, he got something. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaders. Let's do one more. We can look at Zoro and Sanji, what they're running now. I'm not sure what he got from PRB02, but I guess we'll see. How about Rosinante too? We'll make that the leaders we look at this week. So first up is Blue Yellow Nami. Going first 48.76%, going second 49.9%, so it does slightly better going second, almost nearly 50%. Here are her matchup spreads below, so good into decks like Gecko Moria, Black Yellow Luffy, Sanji. In terms of meta relevance, good into Teach, good into Rayleigh, good into Smoker, good into Green Purple Luffy. But loses to Shanks really heavily, and Bonnie, and Zoro. Yeah, losing to Bonnie at the moment is just not a good losing matchup to have, because Bonnie is like, I feel like the ever-present leader in the meta since like OP07, since she released. And then also has a losing matchup into Blue Purple Luffy and Pudding. And loses to Koby for some reason. Okay, let's take a look at some sample deck lists for this deck. What are you guys brewing? This one's got 228 games and 52 people have played it, so I will go with this deck list. Here's a matchup spread for this deck list. That's right, you can see individual deck lists, their matchup performance as well. That's a feature on my website. So we'll open it up in our deck builder, which is also something I coded, FYI. So this Nami deck, we can even see the price. There's a show prices button. And yeah, if you guys are a regular viewer, sorry if this is the like 100th time that you heard it, but if you're a new viewer, via my deck builder, if you click these shopping cart links, they will take you to the TCG player page for the version of the card you selected. Yes, version, that means you can actually cycle through like alt arts. So you have like the alt art Nami here. Does Nojiko have an alt? She does. Oh, pre-release Nojiko. Holy crap, they're expensive. And yeah, for even extra convenience on top of that, there's a master entry button here. In green, you click that, it copies the entire deck list with the current selected art to your clipboard, where you can Control V on TCG Player, add the entire deck list to your cart via one click. Very easy way to just outright buy a deck. and both of these methods go through my affiliate link. So if you guys wanted to support me, you guys were going to buy these cards anyway, it's no extra cost, right? I just get like a small kickback from what you buy. So it's a win-win situation. If you feel like my tools helped you, would really appreciate it. And yeah, so this Nami is running the Wano package, right? We have the Yamato Searcher that can find Kikunojo, it can find Odin, Otama has a 2k counter 2, and Hiyori. That's it, right? Yeah, but that's why it's only a 2 of Searcher here. I think the core cards are like Nojiko plus the Pudding for now. We still don't have a way to like easily attach Dawn onto leader because we don't have either Shoujo, right? We don't have this, we don't know when we're gonna get this. We're gonna get the Promo Roger before this card. Otherwise, people used to run Teach, but it looks like they don't really need it anymore to depend on it. So I guess they just have Dawn open to put on their leader sometimes. This is gonna get heavily alleviated in like EB03 and OP14. Right, there's a bunch of cards in EB03 that just attached onto your leader, like this Nami, specifically for this Nami deck. So this deck is only going to get stronger. It might even be like a top meta contender in OP14, to be honest. But yeah, this deck runs the new Marco in terms of new cards and the Boa Hancock. And then, of course, for Kuma, but everything else is pretty standard from what we remember, right? The Odins to bounce a lot of our utility cards back to hand, and then Kid, just because we're such a defensive deck, Kid helps like burn your opponent's life. Does run the Slave Arrow to counter green Zoro, and then 3 red rock. So next we'll take a look at purple yellow Pudding. Going first 51, going second 40. Ooh, you really don't want to go second with this deck. But that makes sense. If you go first, you can ramp right away because that's what her leader ability does. So matchup spreads below, good into blue purple Luffy, good into Bonnie. These are really 2 good matchups to have, favorable matchups in. I would say nearly 50-50 into Zoro, but when you take a look at the breakdown, if you go first, you win, but if you go second, you completely die. So actually, I guess on average 50-50 if you play like 1,000 green Zoros, but in a tournament situation where you might face like 1 or 2 or 3, that dice roll is really going to determine whether you win that or not. And then completely dice to Teach because you can't do anything with your deck if your on plays are denied. I guess green purple, Luffy, Rayleigh, and Sanji are just too fast for you, right? Aggro decks traditionally destroy Pudding, being a 4-life leader that doesn't do anything until late game. So let's take a look at some deck lists. Okay, a lot of like low game deck lists. That just means that there's no like consensus with the Pudding build. Everyone's playing like a different variation of it, or else there will be like one consolidated one with like a bunch of pilots and stuff. So in that case, let's just take a look at the top one here, right? Because they played 28 games. Ooh, they played a lot of the mirror and a lot into blue purple and a lot into Zoro. How about the very next one? Okay, the first one has a wider spread. So yeah, let's just take a look at the first one here. So this Pudding deck costs 237. Anything spicy here? So it does run 4 of the new Pudding. I guess that's the only card that gets added to the deck. And yeah, this can play out either the 7 Mom, the 8 cost Katakuri, the other 8 cost Katakuri. So 8 targets here. Runs 2 Searcher and 3 Oh My Gods. And then just has a lot of good 2k counter triggers like Bedge can just save you, and then maybe 5 to draw you cards. But yeah, it's just kind of get to late game and play 10 cost Big Moms, kind of. And that's why it's so good into blue purple Luffy, right? They can't counter out of this kind of hit. They just have to take that life. Okay, so that's Pudding. Then Gecko Moria, going first 48, going second 40. So another deck where you want to go first, it matters a lot. Matchup spreads below, good into purple Katakuri, good into Zoro. If you're going first, you're really good into Zoro. That's a good matchup to have. Good into Smoker and Pudding as well. Loses to Koby by a large margin. I wonder why that is. I guess like since you're playing a bunch of 5k base power characters, Koby can just kill them before they attack. From what I remember, I heard people say that Gecko Moria is no longer like a removal deck. It's more of like a swarm deck. So if that's the case, Koby's weakness makes sense. Because yeah, if it's a oh no, I guess remove both ways. Gecko Moria gets countered by Koby. Because yeah, you can't use the Absalom to KO any of his stuff because he can just protect it with his leader ability. Plus, if you're going for like the swarm angle, Koby can pick off your characters really, really easily. So that makes complete sense. You have a 12% win rate into him. That is abysmal. Also weaken to black yellow, weaken to Anil, weaken to Teach. Yeah, Teach also locks out like 80% of your deck. Also weaken to Nami. Yeah, being a 7k base, all of your characters are 5k, hard to attack into Nami. Weak to like everything really. So let's take a look at some deck lists. Okay, 52 games by 1 pilot. It's a pretty wide spread of matchups here, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, price of this deck is 48. Insanely cheap deck. This looks a little removal based, just based on the fact that they run 2 Uta and then 4 of the Tempest kicks. Also 3 Kuzan, so it depends a lot on Absalom and Brook doing the heavy lifting. Yeah, this is like a traditional Gecko Moria build. They just get this new PRB02 Gecko Moria that can play out a 4-drop from your Trash is Rested. In fact, this Gecko Moria can play out Rebecca into Brook, so it's like you have like 8 copies of Brook, if you think about it that way, or just 8 copies of Absalom to KO a 2 cost that way too. Runs 4 Finger Pistol. I wonder what this is for. Is this for Blue Purple Luffy, right? Because Hina plus Finger Pistol kills a 9 drop, which is all you really need to care about in Blue Purple Luffy, so I guess that's for him. Black Vertex for Zoro. Yeah, it's a cool Gecko Moria list. It runs 1 Chump Blocker. The Uta's interesting, right? I guess because no other decks are 2 KO heavy either, it's hard for your opponent to remove Uta. Because as long as you keep killing your opponent's characters from like the 2nd turn onward, they'll never have a character to kill Uta with. Okay, Koby up next, 40% going first, 55 going second. So you really want to go second, right? You have an above 50% win rate going second. Good into Gecko Moria, as we saw, good into Sanji as well, good into Teach. Also good into Rayleigh. Yeah, that makes complete sense. That new Koby pops almost everything in his deck. Good into Nami and Pudding, weak into Green Zoro, good, weak into Green Purple Luffy and Blue Purple Luffy. Depending on if you're going first or second, you actually beat Enel going second, but you completely died him going first. Same with the Bonnie. And then it's flipped for Black Yellow Luffy, you win going first, but you don't do too hot going second. Very polarizing matchups. Okay, so let's take a look at some Koby deck lists. So this one's 84 games by 3 people, 3 pilots here. It's a very nice spread if I would ever presume to say so myself. I don't know why I said it that way. Okay, so price of this deck is $50, another cheap deck. Here's what his leader ability does, by the way, in case you guys don't know and you want to see and you want something to look at while I talk. What is special in this deck? So yeah, just a new Koby, that's kind of it, right? We see the 2 Black Vortex. I think any black deck kind of runs 2 of right now to counter Zoro, but Zoro's not even too big of a threat these days. At least what we see in tournament performance, we didn't see too many top 8 green Zoros. That's going to change coming soon in 2 weeks though, once OP13 drops. In terms of the rest of the deck though, runs Bogard, because I guess you can bring that out with Helmet Bow. And you can also discard it with Sengoku, right? You need a Black Navy card. He is Black Navy. Yeah, so Bogard over the X-Drake 2k counter. What else is special? So I do see no 4-cost Kuzan in this particular deck list. In place of that, we have 4 Hina from Starter Deck 19 for the 4 Dawn slot. This is probably for the Blue Purple Luffy matchup. It gives you Dawn for leader to attack with. But yeah, that's really interesting. Neither the Borsalino or the Kuzan, so they don't really depend on the attacking active characters part of the deck. That's not to say they can't do it though, because they have 2 Hibari still, and then 4 Hamapo into the Kobys can still do that. And yeah, you're just able to keep up with your opponent by drawing cards with this Koby, and this Koby stays like a 6k base on your opponent's turn, making it harder to kill. But yeah, that's this version of Koby. So take a look at Koala here, 37 going first, 53 going second. So you really want to go second. This is the biggest discrepancy, the variance between first and second. But yeah, good into decks like Black Yellow Luffy, good into Teach, good into Pudding. Just any deck that plays big things gets kind of screwed over by Koala. For the same reason Blue Purple Luffy should be, but it looks like Blue Purple Luffys have kind of lessened the gap. I think since the last time we looked at these stats, Blue Purple Luffys weren't running that Rosinante package before. Maybe that's making the difference here, where Koala used to like also counter Blue Purple Luffy pretty heavily. But yeah, it looks like Koala dies to aggro here. Green Purple, Rayleigh and Sanji, but also dies to like control. Like Shanks can handle Koala really well, because Shanks, all his KO is based on power. Koala, all of her characters like get plus cost to prevent KO, but that doesn't protect against power based KO. And then Bonnie, I guess Bonnie just can control really well, right? Control no matter what cost the characters are. So let's take a look at some Koala deck lists. So 23 games by 1 person. It's pretty widespread, but I saw one here that's like 72. What's this one look like? I think this might be more reliable. So let's take a look at this one. All right, Koala 162 for this version of the deck, and it's all thanks to this Kuma here. Right, the rest of the deck after this is just 40 bucks. In terms of top end, you have the 8 dragons, 8 cost dragons, 4 8 cost dragons that can play out this Robin that becomes a blocker in a Koala deck. Also makes your opponent discard 2 cards. Most of the time, you can get away with 3 Black Vortex, because I guess, yeah, your top end is 8 Dawn, so you always have 2 Dawn open. Except when you play this Ace that does heal you. This is an interesting choice for the deck. I guess it just prolongs your longevity that much more. Runs 4 of the Event Searcher for the deck, on top of 4 of the 1-cost Koala. These are both really nice ways to drop cards in your discard. Hack is also like the best 4-drop for this deck and the Sabo deck. And yeah, runs the Baby 5 just for the trigger. Runs Nami too, that's interesting. There aren't too many trigger cards to discard though, right? Yeah, like, I guess the events count, but like, Other than events, like the cards that you had to discard for your KO effect would be like your 2Ks, which I don't think you want to drop a 2K to pop a 5-drop. I guess Karasu is the next best option. But yeah, if you have extra of the event searchers, this is another way. That makes sense, right? Because this is what, 4, 6, 9, and then 13, 17, 21, 23. Yeah, like almost half the deck is targets for Nami. Okay. And then one of the 5-cost cards. I don't like this card at all. I wish it was better. Moving on to Red Blue Marco, 41 going first, 47 going second. So another going second deck. Good into Green Purple Luffy, good into Purple Katakuri and Teach, but completely dies to Rayleigh and Zoro and Pudding and Blue Purple Luffy and everything else in the meta. But let's see what they're running. There's actually quite a few variations of Marco lists. Oh, but there's a really popular one here. 97 games by 16 pilots, matchup spread below. I wonder who popularized this list, because it's not the animal list and it's not like super control either. It's pretty control actually, because you have the Otamas to power down, and then you have Law to power down, and then you combo that with Newgate or Rayleigh to KO. Yeah, these are your KO sources here, 8 of them, plus this 10 cost Shanks, and then you can leader ability to manipulate Sanji play. So Sanji into Rayleigh or Newgate is pretty nice. Also runs that new blocker Marco that just provides some longevity. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, also the Mr. 3 that can be cheated out by this Ivankov, so that makes sense, right? This can cheat out a 2-cost. Also this one too is a blocker that can cheat out. I don't know how I feel about it. It's like kind of in the middle kind of playstyle. Like you utilize some of the 2-cost portion of the deck, then you're also relying on like the KO portion of the deck. I don't know, but this particular deck list seems to be quite popular for Marco, so it must work, or else I don't know, everyone net deck the deck that doesn't do too good, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. Right? I've seen people, other YouTubers who post like kind of questionable lists and everyone just kind of copies them. Haha. Okay, we have Black Yellow Luffy, 44 going first, 43 going second. Good into Gecko Moria, good into Smoker, good into Sanji, Rayleigh. Yeah, because you're able to play the Egghead Luffys that pop everything, most of the things in those decks. But weak into Koala, weak into Bonnie, weak into Enel, weak into Teach. Yeah, the funny thing about Koala is that a lot of Luffy's, the 2-cost brothers that cheat out the 5-cost brothers, it activates Koala's leader effect, so it makes him take another life on top of that. So it's hard to do your like infinite loop. Or it's not infinite anymore, but like your loops in the end. So let's take a look at the deck list. They did get a new key card for the deck. So okay, so this one guy played 91 games. This 2 people played 33 games. We'll go with the guy who played a lot of Black Yellow Luffy. So deck list is $96. Okay, runs Isho to combo with Egghead Luffy, so kind of removal focused, right? The fact that you're running a top end just to enable your Luffy and your Zeus plays. Runs this Sabo that just is a 2k that can give himself plus 1k power, and then this Sabo that just has blocker. This is like a Sabo plus Flampe, right? It does what Flampe does. And then here's that new ace, only has a 3 of though, for a card that I thought would be like a super key card for the deck, because it's like a mini Gecko Moria. 5 cost 7k on play. If you have a face-up life card, you can play a 2 cost brother from your hand or trash. But I guess 3 is enough for this player. But everything else is standard Black Yellow Luffy fare, right? Oh, only 2 of the blocker Sabo in favor of like, there's like 7 of these. Yeah, I guess since KO is not too prevalent anymore, just having the ability to draw cards with this Sabo would be better. And he's a blocker as well as this Sabo here. Okay, cool. That's Black Yellow Luffy. Then we have Zoro and Sanji going first 42, going second 44. Good into Kagura and Koala, and Teach and Green Purple Luffy. These are some pretty nice matchups to have favorable matchups into. Even good into Green Zoro going first, but you completely die to Shanks and Sanji and Bonnie and Smoker and Rayleigh, which is also not good to have because they're also really popular decks. And it looks like you just lose to Blue Purple Luffy in general. So let's take a look at a deck list here. 31 games by 1 person. Nice spread. So let's open it up. Okay, $127 missing image. What is this card? The EB02 Zoro. What's the one that's missing? Oh, from the Learn Together set. This is in the Learn Together set? Okay. Yeah, there's just no images for those cards yet, so I put in a placeholder for now. We'll make it pretty and show one. So it's the Fishman variation, right? The 4 Vanderdecken, 4 Hachan, 4 Long. These are the only Fishmen that you can activate with it. But you have a plethora of ways to search, right? You have Perona and Nami that can search both of these. Perona just keeps getting more expensive. What? This is like $7 each? $6.50? Right? $6.50 is more exact. That's insane. Vivi's also a pretty penny too. But yeah, this guy's gonna get way more support in EB03. It looks like also might be a new meta contender as well. And that's kind of all. I think we saw Zoro and Sanji in the previous week, so that's all I had to say about him. You can check out the previous video. Okay, lastly we have Don Quixote Rosinante. Another green-blue leader, 45 going first, 47 going second. Matchups are below. Good into Teach, Bonnie, Zoro, Koala, and Kagura if you're going second. But loses to Black Yellow Luffy, Shanks, putting Gecko Moria, Sanji, and Blue Purple Luffy by a large margin. So let's take a look at some deck lists. Is it more of like a control build? I guess we'll see here. So it doesn't seem like there's like a large consensus of Rosinante builds either. So we'll just take a look at this one. 36 games by one person. Has a pretty decent spread. So this deck costs $68. And it is a fortress deck with 8-cost Kid. But it doesn't run the new Bonnie? I guess you don't really need active Dawn. What does it cheat out though in terms of blockers? So Rosinante is a blocker. Can cheat out the Stow Flamingo too. That can let you rearrange cards. That's pretty good. What does this guy do again? Okay, it plays a 2-cost from the top of your deck. Top 5. And then what's this law used for? Play one character with cost 3 from your hand. I don't know. What is this used for? Is it to replay the Ivankov? Or play the Ivankov at all from your hand on a future turn? I guess we'll just have to ask the brewer of this deck. If you're the person who made this deck list, let me know how this deck is supposed to play, because I can't really tell. Also runs Shanks for late game and then Red Rock. So your 2 removal cards here. Carrot to stall as well, and then Cavendish to draw cards. Runs the Pudding. This one just bounces back to your hand. It's not searchable. This deck doesn't run searchers anyway. Is it just the generic best blue 2k counter? No, that would be Kaya, right? So why is Pudding run? Is there something that requires having a character out to bounce back to hand or something? No. Okay, so I don't really know how this deck is supposed to work, but from what I can tell, it's a fortress deck that can stall with Carrot, and then you have removal as you're keeping your wall up. There's only 6 blockers though. I don't know. But this is the list that has the most games played with the widest matchup spread, so that's Rosinante for this week. So that's going to be it for the top 10 of PRB02 for this week. And we took a look at a lot of off-meta leaders. This current format's only going to last 2 more weeks, so we'll switch to OP13 very soon. Oh, and by the way, my deck builder, I have OP14 leaders already in there, so in case you guys wanted to brew early, go right ahead. But yeah, until next time, let me know what you guys thought of this week in stats. If there are any leaders you want me to take a look at next week, I could do it. Right, I'll take requests for the next week. And yeah, again, Kaizoku.com to see these stats for yourself in real time. You can even look at other formats that I have. Right, I have overall West 2 and I have Eastern stats too. I also have like a match history, player rankings, matchup table to see a holistic view of all the matchups. In fact, we can take a look at that. We haven't looked at that in a while. Oh, we'll do West last week because that's the stats we looked at. So screenshot this if you want to see it. And check out my other features on the website too. There's an event calendar, a deck builder, a market dashboard, the tournament stats too, and a report maker. If you guys have entered any recent tournaments, if you want to, it would be nice if you could use my report maker. Right, just would be nice to see people use it more. You could add your tournaments, formats, date of the tournament, number of players, your placement. Then you can add your matches below, and it'll calculate the win record for you. You can even leave notes in case you want to remember it in the future. I'm working on an account system that's going to be coming early November so that you can save all of these into your account so you can keep track of all your tournament stats. But that's for a later day, just a quick preview. And I guess that's going to be it for the video. Let me know, again, any feedback. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
Kaizoku.
Da 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 da.